Do we agree that if his neck wasn't being kneeled on, he probably wouldn't have died?
See, I'm not convinced of that, to tell you the truth. He was already taking some fentanyl.
We have Dr. Avi.
The way that opiates overdose kills someone from lack of oxygen is it decreases your desire to breathe, your respiratory drive. People who die from opiate overdoses do not say, I can't breathe. They don't complain of the inability to breathe. They're not trying to breathe. That's what kills them.
Quote, Hitler disarming, all caps, millions of Jews and then marching them off to concentration camps is a bunch of hogwash, close quote. What do you think about that?
He's an idiot.
One can make a reasonable inference that he's a Holocaust denier.
What was this on? It was on his Facebook?
His Facebook with his name.
He says that the popular movie Black Panther was created by an agnostic Jew and put to film by a satanic Marxist and was only created to pull the shekels out of your Schwartzy pockets.
Do you think it's a reasonable inference that Mark Robinson is a anti-Semite?
Wait, what do you think? Hold on, I'm sorry, real quick.
A candidate for Republican governor comes out with these horrific statements some time ago, calling himself a black Nazi pervert who loves Hitler and loves transgender porn, being a hypocrite on the issue of LGBTQ issues, says he's a peeping Tom, says he's a freak, loves Hitler. I want it to take less than 48 hours for a single Republican establishment folk to condemn those statements and the lies he told to try to cover them up. That's the world I want. And I think that we live in a world...
Have any of those Republicans come forward yet? Certainly Ben Shapiro.
Is the word.
Certainly some Daily Wire person who they have strong family values. Certainly some Megyn Kelly or somebody must, right? Somebody's come forward. Somebody on Fox News, maybe.
It's not even surprising, Stephen. This guy's already on record casting doubt on the Holocaust. He's already on record saying we ought to talk about language that's dehumanizing, language that's leading to violence. This guy's literally talking about killing people with a clear reference to Democrats. And so where's the condemnation of that, Piers Morgan? Where's the statement against that, Piers Morgan? The focus seems to be on calling Trump what he is, an authoritarian wannabe, an anti-democratic attempted autocrat who tried to steal a 2020 election. The focus on rhetoric seems to be on completely true anodyne statements, as opposed to a self-avowed black Nazi. And I want to see less double standards in the world I want.
Based, wow. You can accept speakers, right? Am I supposed to be accepting them? Or, go for it.
So I want now to hear from people who are going to defend the silence of MAGA or the MAGA movement in general, or say that it's anything other than complete degenerate weirdos who have corrupted one of the major political movements in the history of our country. And we're going to start with Brian Thanos. All right, Brian Thanos, we're going to approve. Mr. Thanos, you've been approved, but I don't see you anymore. That might have been an accidental, Brian Thanos.
No, I'm here.
You're here. Give us your thoughts.
My thoughts are that I think that a lot of Republicans will probably defend Robinson. I mean, everything's very, very partisan. I mean, but to be fair, I mean, if there was some probably big Democrat scandal on the left, I think a lot of Democrats would probably defend it in the exact same way. I don't think that there's I don't think either party has a large moral high ground here. I mean, both will kind of lie shamelessly and cover up any sort of scandal that they think is going to hurt them politically, especially when you come up to an election. I feel like tensions are so high, and both sides have told you that if the other side wins, it's essentially the end of the country. So it's kind of the ends justify the means type of thing where, you can go to any length in order to try to help your side win if you think that the alternative is the destruction of the country.
Excuse my French, but that's f***ing bullshit. Remember Al Franken?
I was just going to bring him up. You.
Oh, go. No, you go. Cook.
No, I was just going to say,
Cook.
Al Franken had, I believe it was one picture of him touching a woman's breast through her shirt I didn't follow this closely in terms of, I don't believe any more serious allegations came out. I think a few women had said that he had made like inappropriate jokes kind of when he was doing comedy a long time ago. But Al Franken was basically immediately castigated and then thrown aside from the Democratic Party. I can't think of Republicans holding anybody to.
Really? I can. What about, didn't George Santos, didn't he get pushed out?
I know you're bringing him up as an example.
You can't possibly be bringing up George Santos.
He did. He got pushed out.
How long? I remember looking at George Santos months later. I'm like, wait a second, this guy's still in office? That's your go-to? How long did it take for him to actually get kicked out when it was revealed that he was lying about everything?
So no, but now you asking for an example of say the Republicans holding their own accountable. Now you're saying that it took too long. Okay, maybe we could agree that it took too long, but I mean they still did hold their own accountable to some extent, right?
It took until after a federal indictment. It took until we found out, oh my God, this guy's like scamming elderly people before we have a tepid, and by the way, contested effort to get rid of George Santos, which was clearly done for internal political benefit of New York Republicans who have been pushing it the whole time because they saw the writing was on the wall. It was in their interest, those New York Republicans in a kind of highly divided House, to push him out after so long, after it was revealed that this guy was essentially lying about absolutely everything. But we already knew the extent of his degradation, and we already knew the fact that he had completely fabricated his resume beforehand. There's no comparison to what happened to Al Franken or indeed Andrew Cuomo. That's another example. Andrew Cuomo was one of the most popular governors in one of the most Democrat states, and he was kicked the out.
Yeah, he was. No, I agree. I mean, like you said, there could be examples of, say, both sides where they will eventually push people to the side. But I think I'm sure there's examples too of the contrary where there's it's like, say, for example, like say you look at Mark Robinson. First off, this stuff just dropped, so it's going to be interesting to kind of see how everything unfolds over the next week or two.
But not a word, Brian. Not a single word on.
I don't support this guy. I mean,
no. I'm saying not you.
I'm going to be on stage with like Mark Robinson, like rallying from like I don't.
Why haven't national Republicans?
Mark Robinson.
Trump released a statement, right? They released a statement like, "Hey, we're focusing on North Carolina. We need to win North Carolina." Doesn't even address that this guy called himself a black Nazi. Mm-hmm. Be like, "Hey, that's messed up," or at least saying, "Hey, those were statements a long time ago. I don't think they reflect him now." Like nothing.
I mean, is that a surprise? I mean,
But if this were the other way around, right? If this were Cory Booker, who there's like confirmed logs of him saying, Cory Booker, yeah, I'm a black Nazi, I'm a pervert, I love transgender. The silence is deafening, Thanos.
Yeah, no, I like if you're saying that, okay, yeah, Republicans are going to be extremely partisan and they're going to try to, act like a lot of this didn't happen. I agree with you, but
aren't they more partisan? Wouldn't you agree they're more partisan, more degenerate?
Sorry, one more time?
Wouldn't you agree it's a difference, a substantial difference? Wouldn't you agree with that?
What do you mean, like a substantial difference?
Like, I think the question would be, can you think of anything equivalent that's happened in the last 20 years on the Democrat side?
Oh yeah, I can give you examples for sure of like, say, Democrats kind of trying to win elections at all costs. Like I do think that.
No, wait. I want to hear one. Give me one example. Okay.
No, I'd be happy to give you an example. So, for example, I'd say a good example is look during like the summer of 2020 where there was massive riots that were completely downplayed and there was an effort to try to make them seem like, they were mostly peaceful.
Hold on. I'm looking for an example of one Democrat lawmaker or leader who is very clearly out of line, massively out of line, that the Democratic Party is not calling out or throwing out. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, there's a lot of examples. Just during the summer of 2020, I mean, there was, governors and mayors, asking the police force to stand down and not to, basically enforce the law because they felt like that was the politically advantageous thing to do as cities were on fire and businesses were just getting toppled. So I don't think there's a moral high ground here where like,
can you give me an example of one?
Oh yeah. Let's go to like, Minneapolis. I mean, that one.
You're going to compare Tim Walz's Tim Walz's reaction to Black Lives Matter to Mark Robinson? Have you lost your mind?
I mean, you asked for an example, and then I give an example.
Wait, that's a fine example. What do you make of the fact that Donald Trump complimented his handling of that situation? Because I think it took, was it 3 days to deploy the National Guard? Because he was waiting, I think, on an approval from, I think it was from the mayor, right? What was so like beyond the pale, or what did he do here that was so beyond the line? Because at the time, even Trump was giving him his approval. Even Trump was saying nice things about him.
Well, first off, you're saying Tim Walz. I'm saying Minneapolis. It was the
you said governors
the mayor of Minneapolis. I can't think of his name right offhand, but I could easily look it up if this was like
okay, sure. Deal.
Like the mayor of Minneapolis. I mean, during the time of these riots, I mean, this guy was going to like this. He was, as like right after his city just got like burned down. He was trying to, he was going to these rallies and. Basically just like embarrassing himself, just walking up there it was complete lawlessness. So I mean, he did ask people. I mean, this is documented. I mean, they were asking police to stand. I mean, do you deny this? Do you deny that like there was Democrats?
Deny what? I actually don't know the allegation. Is the allegation that he was negligent? What is the accusation?
Well, you're saying they told police to stand down?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, there's an element of negligence, but I think it goes beyond that. I think they were, actionably. Trying to, almost allow for lawlessness.
For lawlessness. So you think that he was encouraging lawlessness?
I'm muted for a sec. Can somebody find me a story on this?
What is that called?
Where's Puggy at? Show me where this guy called police to stand down and allow rioters to burn down cities. Can somebody find me a source on this?
I mean, do you think that might have been a tactic to try to stop any confrontations or from getting worse? Okay, don't you think that you need to, do you or do you not need to prove that the intent of, I believe you're referencing Jacob Fry, don't you need to prove that he wanted additional violence and lawlessness? Isn't that your burden to prove that that's what he wanted, as opposed to it being a tactic to try to, acquiesce to or to stop things from getting worse? Isn't it your burden, sir, to prove that his intent was actually to increase lawlessness?
Yeah, I think that
it is your burden, isn't it? Agreed?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay, so what is the evidence that you have that he intended it to get worse?
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to see that was the case. And I mean, this isn't an isolated
that was his
example.
Intent?
Yeah, I do think so, because at the time it was politically advantageous. And I'll tell you exactly why. Because, I think a lot of Democrats felt that if they sided with BLM, with the rioters, it was helping them, drive out vote. It was going to help them with black voters, etc.
To have the city burned down and go into chaos and anarchy, that would have helped Democrats.
I mean, it's sick. I mean, it's sick and disgusting.
Wait, no, you think that's what he was going through his mind? You think that he was going through his mind is it's actually better to have anarchy. We want to have lawlessness, and we want the city to, go into complete chaos. That's what he was, a political calculation to make him more politically advantageous. That's what was going on in his mind?
Yeah, so let me explain, rather than trying to attribute what I say, do you think this? Let me just explain what I think. What I think, his main thought process was, he felt like it was politically advantageous to kind of stand in solidarity with BLM, even though they had committed massive violent actions. I think that was the case. So they were very, very, they went very, very soft on trying to prosecute these guys. I think it was pretty clear. I mean, do you disagree with that or no?
I think that the burden is on you to show that his intent was, as you stated, to increase chaos, to increase lawlessness. I think you could very easily, the other inference that one could make is this was an acknowledgement that what occurred, which was a murder, right? You agree that Derek Chauvin murdered George Floyd?
I mean, I don't agree with that, but no, continue.
You don't agree that he murdered George Floyd, and why is that?
I'll tell you why. Because the guy had several times the amount of fentanyl in his system that he needed in order to kill someone. I think that I think Derek Chauvin, I think he acted stupidly. I think that he shouldn't have had the knee on the neck for as long as he did. But I also think that if George Floyd, if there was no contact at all between Derek Chauvin and George Floyd, I think George Floyd would have died anyway.
You acknowledge that the trial court went through the issue of causation, don't you? Did you watch the trial?
Yeah, I watched the entire trial. Yeah,
You watched the entire trial. So surely you saw the issues related to causation. And can you explain why you were convinced that he was going to die anyway when you were given expert testimony to the effect of it was absolutely the result of this sort of agonal breathing, that he wasn't able to get full airs because of the compression? Why is it that you were unconvinced by the expert testimonies brought to bear by the prosecution? And why are you not deferring to the jury's decision in terms of, who is it guilty and where the causation actually was?
Yeah, no, those are all very good questions. The reason I disagree with the verdict is, I mean, the medical examiner, they had the report. I mean, the guy had several times the amount of fentanyl in his systems that you would have needed to kill someone. I mean, can we just ignore it? You're just going to completely ignor that, or I mean,
so
no.
do you acknowledge
No, so you
that
answer that
just I'm about to answer it. That
Okay.
yes, people have died with that dose of fentanyl before.
Several times. Not like he might have died. Several times as much.
But hang on. Evidence was presented to the effect that in George Floyd, it was not the cause of death because it was the reactions to the compression, and you could see he was short of breath and unable to get for air, and his movements and his speech indicated that he was not going through a fentanyl-based death situation, and it was way more likely that it was the compression. It might have been a triggering factor.
Also, I'm sorry, hold on, wait. Just as a resident, wait, real quick. Hold on, real quick. As the resident druggie here, okay. Just saying that somebody has more of a drug in their system that would be lethal to like an ordinary citizen, I don't think that's an argument that they died of an overdose, right? Because if somebody is a regular drug user and they've built a tolerance to a drug, they can handle more in their system. I mean, it's not necessarily proportional, but you can handle more in your system than what would ordinarily kill a person, right?
Yeah.
So
okay, so let's go with that. I like that. So let's go with Destiny's argument. Let's go based off the premise that's the case that George Floyd can just handle like an ungodly amount of fentanyl, like no problem. He's like,
you agree that some people can handle that amount of fentanyl and not die? You agree with that?
I guess it's possible. I don't know. I mean, but
hold on, wait. Just to be clear, like
yes.
Okay.
Let's go off the premise of yes. Let me just continue with that one. How about that? Let's just go off the premise that the fentanyl, like, let's just say that he could have handled that much amount of fentanyl. Okay, we'll go from there.
Mm-hmm.
So, other parts of that are like, Derek Chauvin. Well, first off, another thing that was revealed during the medical examination is they said that there was like, no bruising, they weren't able to find any actual damage to his vertebrae or anything on the back of the neck. And like another point I wanted to add too is just the way that Chauvin had the knee on the neck. It was on the back of the neck. In order to like incapacitate someone, I do jujitsu, so like I'm very, very experienced with this. Like I choke people all the time and I get choked as well. So like I know the mechanics. I know like choke mechanics like really, really good. And like there's two different ways. They have a blood choke and they have a windpipe choke. So a blood choke will cut off both the blood supply on both sides of the neck by just keeping blood from going to the brain. Or you have a windpipe choke where there's basically like a compressional force on the windpipe. So like just putting applying a pressure on the back of the neck, it wouldn't necessarily choke anyone.
Yeah, so you agree that there was a pulmonary expert specialist who testified that he died from lack of oxygen, not from impact from bruising. You agree with that?
I mean, how could they determine that? I mean, when you're saying, I mean, there wasn't, how are they cutting off his oxygen? I mean, I can understand there was weight on top of the neck, but I don't agree that like his oxygen was cut off in a significant way.
Hold on, I'm so sorry. Wait. Hold on. I don't know if this guy's lying about everything. If he's headquartered in Moscow or what's going on here. Okay, hold on. So the point that you brought up earlier about drug overdose was completely not true, which is why you moved on from that. You say that you have a background in jiu-jitsu, all right? And you're talking about choking and strangling people, blood chokes versus air chokes. You know that people can suffocate without ever touching their neck, right? Like if I were to take a 2-year-old and sit on their back, they would probably suffocate, right? That their chest wouldn't be able to expand enough to take in air, or that you could sit on people, or that you could compress people's airways in ways that don't involve like applying direct pressure to somebody's throat. So why even bring that up?
I'll go a step further in that, Destiny. I mean, there's people that can if you're like 600 pounds, I mean, you could die by sleeping on your stomach. So it's
sure.
Like,
so wait, then why bring up that he wasn't in a chokehold?
So it's
Well,
like
the
the point is, like,
compression.
if someone was like laid down on their stomach and ended up dying, like, would you charge someone else with murder? Like, it's like,
Hold on. Absolutely, yes. What do you mean? If somebody was dying because we were having some physical confrontation where I'm holding them down, yeah, and they're having trouble breathing and I sit there, what do you mean? Of course. If I walk into a cancer ward and somebody's going to die in 3 days from cancer anyway, and I shoot the guy in the head, I'm still getting charged with murder, right? Just because somebody might have another issue doesn't mean that you can exacerbate it, or like in another world, he might have been able to get medical assistance, or in another world, maybe he would have.
Then how about this? Let me raise a question to you. So it's like, how about if we look like, okay, was this like, the primary cause of death, or was this a contributing factor? And if this was a contributing factor, I guess how much of a contributing factor would that have been?
If it's quote unquote a substantial cause in Minnesota, and you watched the trial, right? So you heard the jury instructions, correct?
Yeah, I watched the trial. I mean,
okay, so then it doesn't need to be. It needs to be a but-for cause. It needs to be a but-for cause, and if it's a substantial cause in Minnesota, that's enough to show legal fault. And here we have, yes, absolutely, George Floyd had a prior heart condition, absolutely had fentanyl, but we heard the testimony from Dr. Tubin, I think that's his name, and that the compression that the full weight of Derek Chauvin on the neck, and that compression would be plenty to kill somebody who was being prone, that George Floyd was trying to move and complaining that he was having difficulty breathing, and then he has this spasm after he's not having enough oxygen from his breaths, these very, very shallow breaths, that indicate that the death was due to lack of oxygen. Why are you discrediting that? Why are you saying things like he had enough fentanyl in the system if you're acknowledging that it's possible? In fact, there are heavy fentanyl users who can regularly use above those levels. Why do you say he must have been killed by the fentanyl and not other things? Like, most importantly, the compression.
So that's a good question. So let's look at like the nuanced points, right? It's like, there could be multiple contributing factors that led to his death. So it's like, okay, like was Derek Chauvin, like, did he contribute like 0 to his death? Like, let's just say no, he contributed more than 0, but I don't think he was the primary cause.
Wait, hold on. Wait. When you say this, hold on. Do you have a child?
I know, I don't have a kid.
Okay. Imagine there's somebody that's having an asthma attack and they go to get their inhaler and you grab that person and you just like throw them on the floor and you sit on them. The primary cause of death is probably the asthma attack, right? Or in an ordinary situation, that person might not die at all. But let's say that you know that they're having an asthma attack. You've got a reasonable expectation that something really bad will happen to them if you sit on them while they're having an asthma attack. Would that person be at fault for murder?
Mm-hmm. So I mean, you're saying that it was in this situation that you're laying out, it was mostly the asthma attack that would have caused someone to die, but there would be a minimal contributing factor that was kind of like would have pushed them over the top if someone were to like kind of throw them down and be rough with them. You're saying. What you're suggesting, or like
the hypothetical?
I'm just saying in the hypothetical that there's an inhaler across the room and they go walk and grab the inhaler and now they're dying, but the person's not like choking them out, but they're just sitting on them so they can't go and grab their inhaler, and then the person dies due to an asthma attack while the person's on them.
Okay, then fair enough. Then how about this? I'll agree with you this. So then like if we were to look at your if you were to look at the example that you gave, like for it to be equivalent, you would say that. The fentanyl was, say, a major contributing factor in what Derek Chauvin did. Obviously, contributed to a degree, but he was already on his way out because of the fentanyl. I mean,
why do we think? Wait. Why do we think he was going to die because of the fentanyl?
Because I mean, he had several times the amount that would have been lethal.
Hold on, wait. But we don't know what the lethal limit for him taking fentanyl would have been. And we also don't. I don't know if we saw evidence.
I mean, like there is like it's not like we have like zero idea. Like, okay, there's people that have higher tolerance than others, but like the same point, like it's not like he's like a different species of it's not like he's a different species altogether. Like he's still a human being.
Like, you've already granted that some people who take fentanyl at those levels can actually live and can actually abuse at similar levels if they have a tolerance. And so you're just going back to that point, but you don't have additional evidence that was the cause of death. But Dr. Tubin, the expert, provided additional evidence about why the compression with the weight of Derek Chauvin was a substantial cause in the death of George Floyd. And to bring it back a little bit, do you agree at the time that the mayor is reacting, we have no way to know what the fentanyl levels were. It appears to, you would agree, therefore, at the very minimum, in the month or two after this period, there was no reason for us to assume And even if you were to buy your causation theory, there was no reason for us to assume that fentanyl killed him. It seemed obvious to people watching that it was the knee. You agree with that at the very minimum?
Oh yeah. Like when the video first came out, it looked very, very bad until we obviously found out about the evidence after.
And it looked less bad after that.
I think yeah.
Also, wait, real quick. Do you? Okay, and this is
this. I like your framing though. Come on now.
Wait, this is a very specific question, and if you don't have the answer, that's fine. But I'm curious. Do you know the levels that were found in his blood? You keep saying it was many times the levels that would kill somebody. Do you know like how high over?
Oh, do I know like exactly how many like micrograms?
Okay, you're making fun of the fact that I am asking this question, even though I just told you I don't expect you to necessarily have the answer. I even gave you the out. I understand you're uncomfortable. Okay, but that's fine. You don't have to answer then. So that's okay. But because I was curious because I don't know like what can a tolerated person like handle in terms of say like morphine. So I just looked this up this is from a this is from Talbot Recovery, which I assume has to do with people that are addicted to drugs. But this says, on the other hand, morphine, the normal dose of medical morphine is between 20 to 30 milligrams. At this level, a patient who legally uses morphine may experience any combination of the following side effects: slowed breathing, mental disorientation, et cetera, et cetera. On the other hand, morphine addicts can grow to tolerate over 2 grams a day, though it normally only takes 200 milligrams to induce a fatal response. So, so that shows 10 times a morphine addict can tolerate 2 grams, right? 10 times the lethal amount for a person.
So that was a snack. That was a snack for George Floyd.
So if we assume, which is real quick. So then we don't have any good reason, because blood levels definitely aren't it. We don't have any good reason to assume that he died from overdose. Do we agree that if his neck wasn't being kneeled on, do we agree that he probably wouldn't have died?
See, I'm not convinced of that. To tell you the truth, I'm not convinced that if Derek Chauvin hadn't done the knee, that he wouldn't have died. Because I know he was already taking some fentanyl, right? And then right before they put him in the police car, didn't they have like the video where he then just downed, like he had an entire bag, right? He didn't want to get caught with the bag of his drugs, so then he downed way more, like right before all of that happened.
I don't think that was put on as evidence. I don't think that was established.
Am I making this up? I don't know.
We have Dr. Avi. Dr. Avi is a medical doctor, and I was wondering, Avi, do you have a take on this? I don't know what your take's going to be, frankly, but go ahead.
Yeah, so a couple things. So first off, as some people have already said, what the lethal dose is to kill someone from an opiate is going to depend very heavily on their tolerance. It's not like something univocal. You can just say, oh, this was the level, and so therefore a person cannot survive. Mm-hmm. But more importantly is the way that an opiate overdose kills someone from lack of oxygen is not in any way reminiscent of the way that George Floyd died. The way that opiates overdose kills someone from lack of oxygen is it decreases your desire to breathe. Your drive, your respiratory drive is decreased. People who die from opiate overdoses do not say, I can't breathe. They're fine with not breathing. They're content with not breathing. They don't complain of the inability to breathe. They're not trying to breathe. That's what kills them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, but George Floyd was complaining about not being able to breathe while he was still in the car. I mean, right? And so, like, he was having. So, I mean, there was some sort of drug effect.
Yes, that is incompatible with an opiate overdose mechanism.
So then, what do you attribute? I'm curious, Avi. Like, what do you attribute that to? Where George Floyd, he has no compressional force on his back and his neck. He's upright in the back of a police car, and he's screaming hysterically as he's gasping.
Wait, hold on. Just as a quick thing to clarify what you mean by that. When you say no compressional force, there was literally weight on him. How is nothing being compressed? What?
No, Destiny, I think you're confused here, because I'm not saying when he was on the ground. Obviously, when he was on the ground, there was compressional force on him. I was saying that George Floyd, when he was in the back of the police car, first he had been sat down in the back of the police car. He was upright, sitting. There was no compressional force. There was no one pushing against his chest, no one pushing against his back at the time, and he was hysterically screaming. He was gasping for air, saying, I cannot breathe. While he was still in the car. You're aware of this, right? Or no?
I can answer how that's actually very consistent.
Okay.
That's true. So when you are having compressed, even though he wasn't being compressed at that moment, prior, when one is being compressed, they have an inability to perform respiratory exchange, to exchange oxygen with carbon dioxide. It's the carbon dioxide buildup that increases respiratory drive. If you have been compressed and you are not able to exchange oxygen with carbon dioxide and you have a carbon dioxide buildup, you're going to have very heightened respiratory drive and have the feeling that you can't breathe or you're not respirating enough. even if you don't have a compressional force. It's not just compressional forces that give you. You don't need someone to be choking you on the neck to feel that.
Also, there could be a million things going on. He could be having a panic attack. He could just be out of breath from like fighting with cops. He could just be saying random shit so that they don't lean on him or so that they give him a break or whatever because he's trying to get out of getting arrested. There could be a million things going on.
There's all sorts of things that could be going on. But one thing that is not going on that I can tell you was not the cause here was an opiate overdose. You would not expect any of those things to happen.
Yeah. Or to be more clear, maybe there could have been one going on, but we have no good evidence to suggest that this is like a primary thing causing him to die at that point. It doesn't seem like there's good evidence.
Because the way that it causes that opiate overdose cause people to die is exactly the opposite of what you're seeing. It's they are not complaining. They are not having an increased respiratory drive. Everything you're seeing here suggests an increased respiratory drive.
Mm-hmm.
Does that move you at all? I just want to ask Brian, has that moved you even 1%, what you just heard from Avi and Destiny?
I think of everything in terms of like likelihoods. Like, is there a likelihood that, he would still be alive had Derek?
Has that moved you, yes or no?
No, that hasn't really moved me at all. Like I said, just to summarize, there's nuance.
Not even 1%. So what about what Avi just said was not at all convincing? What rebuttal do you have to what Avi said?
Well, there's several things. Okay, so like what Avi was specifically commenting on, or say the effects of say the opioid. Or actually, no, there is one thing that what moved me actually to move me slightly in a direction was more what Destiny had said. I think Destiny made a good point. I don't even think it was brought up during the trial at the time. So, but credit to Destiny, he did bring up a good point, and that was saying that maybe George Floyd can just handle way more drugs than the average man. I mean, that's certainly a possibility. I think that.
Hold on, wait. I'm so sorry. Hold on, just because I'm so tired of dealing with bad faith conservatives. Okay, you're making this sound like it's incredible. This is standard behavior. You build tolerances to pain. Like when you make this sound like
it's kind of impressive.
What?
I said it's kind of impressive.
It's not impressive. It's like it is an expected response to these types of drugs. It's one of the reasons why people becoming hooked on painkillers coming out of hospitals. Like you're laughing and giggling now because it has to do with some black dude that died that you don't give a about. But like this is a huge issue with people, and it's one of the big issues putting people on painkillers. Like somebody coming back from the hospital saying like, I think I have like an addiction to painkillers. Like, oh my God, like you're just taking them for fun? Like, bro, that's crazy. Like that's just a really stupid thing to say. Like people that get addicted to drugs develop higher tolerances. This is why they need more of them. It's why they sometimes eventually overdose and die. Just putting that out there. Yeah.
It would be convincing to me, actually, no, but like Destiny, like I said, I want to give you credit because you made a good point. What would be convincing to me is like, if there was evidence, like if you could show, okay, look, George Floyd had, handled this amount of fentanyl in the past and just dealt with it like a champ. Like, and if that was out there, I'd be like, you know what? Okay, maybe it was, it was just the panic. But like I said,
that's what everyone's saying, that he's an addict, that he's a fentanyl addict. That's what people are saying.
I understand that too, but like one thing that's, like I said, that there's multiple things about it. Another, obviously, the fentanyl is a factor, right? He had a large amount of fentanyl in the system, but like once again, like even the way that Derek Chauvin was pushing down on his neck, like would it be extremely uncomfortable? Is it inhumane? Yes, but I think there's a big difference between uncomfortable, inhumane, could possibly cause cervical damage. You could say all those things in there, but in terms of like cutting off air, it just doesn't. Like I said, I've been doing jujitsu for 20 years. Like it just does not do that.
Oh, okay. So let's. I just want to get your current position, then I want to get a response to Avi, and then we'll go to Odashara. So so real quick, your current position is it is more likely than not that he died of opiate overdose. That's fair.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay. What about Avi's description?
I could be wrong, but let's go ahead.
I understand you could be wrong, but right now you do have a position, which is it's more likely than not that Derek Chauvin was wrongfully convicted, right? Because causation is a but-for causation is a required element for these offenses. Even the felony murder-related version of murder requires causation. And so what you're saying is it's more likely than not that Derek Chauvin was wrongfully convicted of murder. And so my question for you is, what response do you have to Dr. Avi? Dr. Avi just told you that what we would expect to see in an opiate overdose is a lack of desire or a lack of, can you actually put it in better terms?
Respiratory drive. It's a lack of respiratory drive. Everything that Derek Chauvin was exhibiting is a very strong presence of respiratory drive, a heightened respiratory drive. That's simply not the way opioids kill people.
Do you have a response to that? And after that, we'll go to Odishara if you have a thought.
Yeah, that's a good point that Avi brought up. So like Avi, then like, I mean, how do you explain? Okay, like if he had a strong respiratory drive, like I mean, do you really think like, you know, 160-pound, you know, man putting a knee on the back of his neck was cutting off oxygen, cutting off blood, where he was, you know, unable to breathe? I mean,
wait, you're pivoting now. We can discuss that, but hold on, because you just said it's most likely. Look, there could be some third option, whatever. Maybe it's the knee, maybe it was the third. But right now, let's just do it one by one, because you said it's most likely the opiates, and I'm pointing out to you that this is not even remotely how opiates kill people.
Mm-hmm.
So before we go on to what did kill him, let's just get what didn't kill him out of the way. It was not opiates. Opiates don't kill people by.
Also, I'm trying to read. I'm trying so hard to find these lethal limits now, and I just don't know where this is coming from. Blood concentrations of approximately 7 nanograms per milliliter or greater have been associated with fatalities where polysubstance use was involved. So this is blood concentrations of approximately 7 nanograms per milliliter. His blood content was 11 nanograms per milliliter. This isn't many times. This isn't like over and over many times the lethal limit. It doesn't even look.
Sorry. Go over those numbers again. What's
I'm just googling around trying to find the LD50 for fentanyl. I'm seeing this website from European Drug Unions or European Union Drug Overdose stuff is saying blood concentrations of approximately 7 nanograms per milliliter or greater have been associated with fatalities, and his blood level was 11 nanograms per milliliter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even like he wasn't even 2 times over the lethal limit. But
they're saying that's 7, like 7 is lethal, and he was at 11, so he was like a time and a half.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to look. I'm trying to find more information.
I thought it was like 3 or 4. I mean, that's a high. I thought it was like 3 or 4.
But I also think, to be fair, to hit on what Abby said, because this is frustrating, because it happens a lot. Do you do any recreational drugs?
Oh yeah. I do plenty of recreational drugs. Yeah.
Do you do downers?
I did somewhat. I mean, I mostly weed. I mean, I have a dab rig.
Okay, I mean, like for people that are doing downers, like you typically take them and then you just kind of like sink into the couch and then you just kind of like chill.
Yeah, or I just go on Twitter Spaces and have conversations.
Yeah. So I don't have any experience with opioids, but I imagine the downer experience on opioids at certain doses is probably pretty similar. That when you're on downers, if you're ODing on downers or whatever, the idea of you like running around and screaming and stuff doesn't seem to be consistent with how you would expect somebody on downers to die. I feel like it would be more like they're on the ground drooling and they roll over and they either suffocate on their own like tongue or drown in their own drool, or your respiratory drive is depressed enough that either your diaphragm isn't pumping enough or you're just not breathing, and then you kind of die that way. Running around screaming doesn't seem to be consistent with, for what Abby's said, and then my own personal experience with recreational drugs, doesn't seem how you would OD on downers.
Question for Avi. I mean, like, okay, so in terms of contributing factors, you would say that the fentanyl or whatever. Yeah, whatever. So the fentanyl, you would say is in terms of contributing factors, you'd put that at 0, not even 1%.
This is to Dr. Avi, and then we'll go to Otisara.
Yeah, this is to Avi. Sorry, I don't know if you heard me. I was just saying that you would say that the fentanyl was 0% contributing factor.
I don't know why it wouldn't be 0%, but it's like his obesity was probably a contributing factor as well.
Okay. I don't know if I had that perception here, but
what? And he had a heart condition. Why don't you have a? Why does that not affect you at all? What Destiny just said? Okay, we're going to move on.
Sorry, you guys are cutting in and out. Can you please, whatever you just said?
Am I cutting in for you, Destiny?
No, you're not. You're fine.
Okay. All right, let's go to Otisara. What's your opinion about this? And let's try to tie it back, if we can, at some point, to the double standard and the political implications here.
Oh, wait.
What?
On that last guy, I'm so sorry, because this was your fault. Pisco got sidetracked on this whole George Floyd shit. I tried to look up the Minneapolis mayor stuff. It seems like that he did call for the police to abandon one precinct. Now, whether it was because he thought they didn't have the police to hold it down or he thought it would exacerbate violence, I'm not sure. I haven't seen any articles or any indication that he thought this was a politically popular move. Basically, the day after, the next morning, and over the night when it happened, it was an incredibly unpopular move. And he literally had to do a press conference next morning to answer for what was going on, to figure out what was happening. This is before they eventually called in the National Guard. So I don't see any evidence whatsoever that he intentionally called the police back just because he
have
wanted to watch the
lawlessness.
city
I mean, like,
burn. Yeah.
What are we saying here? That these mayors wanted more chaos because of why? How was that beneficial?
Well, I'll go a step
Also,
further.
fuck. Also, wait.
Let me-
One real quick thing. I said George Floyd was obese. That was totally wrong. I'm so sorry. For some reason, he's obese coded in my mind, but he wasn't. He was shredded. My bad. Go ahead. Continue.
But he had a heart condition. So.
One
He
other
might have. Yeah.
thing-
Go ahead.
one
All right,
other
Brian,
thing-
respond, we have to go to Otisara. My bad.
Okay, sorry. All right.
Well, let him
No,
respond because I just said that. Unless he's got a response to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, like Destiny. No, one other thing I wanted to add, because I mean, the whole point was we were just trying to talk about, okay, like, you know, this kind of whole started with like, you know, Mark Robinson, and look, like Republicans are not coming out and condemning him. And I was like, yeah, like I understand they're extremely partisan and they want to win at all costs. And, you know, but I was also saying like Democrats like do not have a moral high ground on this. And, you know, you would ask for an example. And then the example I brought is like, look, they're willing to like let their cities burn because they felt like it was politically advantageous. And there's another part of that too. I mean, you keep in mind, I mean, this was like what, May, or was it June of 2020? And this is right at the height of COVID. And I remember, you know, you had, I mean, I remember there was protests that were like, you know, a month earlier about, you know, protesting lockdowns, and they were dealt with like pretty swiftly. And then as soon as this happened, it was like, oh, well, you know, maybe we should, you know, COVID's a thing, but, you know, you should, you know, this systemic racism is so bad and so
When you say
scary,
protests
like,
dealing with lockdowns were dealt with swiftly.
yeah, they
What
were.
the hell are you talking about?
They were like, it's not like, yeah, because at the time, like, okay,
So
here's
what the hell are you talking about when you say they were dealt with swiftly? Just answer.
Let me explain exactly what I'm talking about. So, for example, like when people were protesting lockdowns, there was a big freak out about like, oh my God, you know, social distancing, and this is gonna, you know, spread COVID.
No, we're just asking. When you say dealt with, did they make protesting illegal? Did they arrest people who were protesting? Did they?
No, let me rephrase. I just meant like the way that they were covered was way different.
Okay, so
like,
nothing happened, is what you mean to say. So
Yeah,
then
I
back
don't
to
know what you're
the
talking
mayor thing. Yeah. Okay. So just to be
yeah,
clear, you brought up this
do you not agree with
Minneapolis
my
thing.
point, though? Do you not agree with my point at all? Or do you think
No,
that was-
it doesn't.
I'm
It
not
had another
agreeing
point.
with
It's
it
not. No, we're not going to agree or disagree. It doesn't matter. The point is irrelevant. The original question was: is there any person that you can think of that is the equivalent to this abdication of morality, of character,
Mark
of responsibility for a guy who's being endorsed by an ex-president who's running for president? And the first example that you could think of, maybe the only example, the best one, was the mayor of Minneapolis, which is still an important position. And then it was because you said that he intentionally allowed a city to burn. It sounds like he called the police out of a single precinct. That I don't see any evidence to suggest that he did this because he thought it would be advantageous for his career, and he caught heat for it basically immediately and the next morning. And yeah, if this is the comparison, we're not even remotely similar here.
Okay.
Well, you agree, right? That what you just said, that is not remotely comparable to Mark Robinson. Do you agree, yes or no, that it's not remotely comparable?
I mean, I do agree
Yes,
that's like a way different situation. It's a different situation, but like I was just saying on a broader level of like, okay, like are Democrats, you know, willing to say abandon like morality and ethics in pursuit of power? Like I do think they are. Like maybe you disagree.
Do you agree, yes or no, or I don't know, that this is on orders of magnitude different in the sense of less bad than the silence related to Mark Robinson's comments?
Oh no! See, I would disagree with that one. I would disagree with that because I mean, look at the consequences of you know asking, or like you said, you know, abandoning police precincts or not having a strong law enforcement reaction at the time of riots. I mean, you had, you know, billions of dollars of damage, and you had, you know cities and small businesses.
And you're saying it's his fault. It's his fault. He's responsible for the damage.
I mean, if you're
Yes,
telling
no, I don't know. Is it his
police-
fault?
What? Yes. I mean, of
Okay,
course.
all right. Well, we have to move on.
Police force-
Sorry, I think that's ridiculous, but that'll stand. Otisara, sorry for delaying so long. Your comment.
Oh no! Wait, actually, wait. One more question,
Wait.
and then I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm undermining you. I'm not. Okay. One more question. Wait. Do you agree then that for the 3 hours that Trump watched the Capitol burn, was that also Trump's fault?
Oh, you're saying like during January 6th?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he could have acted more swiftly for sure.
It's his fault, right? You said that it was the mayor's fault for causing it, for failing to respond quickly. So it's also Trump's fault, yes?
Well, okay, the equivalent would be like Trump asking law enforcement to stand down. Did he do that? or
Oh
no?
my God.
Okay.
I mean, we'll
we'll let that stand. If people want to read into that
You're trying to be
distinction,
elusive. You're trying to be elusive. Like, I mean, you're saying that the equivalent would be the mayor just not saying anything, right? So like you're saying, okay, Trump didn't say anything, but he didn't actively say, hey, look, stand down, do not arrest these people, right? I mean, that was what some of these mayors were doing. I thought it was crazy at the time. I don't think you could.
Well, hold on, you're generalizing after you failed to prove the specifics, so I'm guessing this probably never happened, but.
We'll have to let that stand just for now. I appreciate the comment. Otisara, sorry for the delay.
Good talk.
No, it's okay. I'm just a nurse, and this guy that was talking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, apparently he never gets tired and never has to gasp for air. I was going to say the same thing Dr. Javi was saying. That's all.
Oh, thank you. Do you do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu too, or you just know about it?
No, I'm a nurse, and I was an EMT, as well, first responder. So when this guy was saying that, why would you gasp for air just because he's not cutting out the oxygen supply or brain supply? He's never heard of being tired or panic attacks.
Well, I'll let that comment stand. I think Brian Thanos did have a response to it. I don't agree with it, but I appreciate that he's here giving his ideas. I do know that Brian Shush is a conservative and I believe a Trump supporter. So Brian Shush, give us your take on Mark Robinson, MAGA. What's going on with this degenerate movement?
I'm not really a MAGA supporter, so.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. I wanted to bring up one point. You guys were talking about something that the Democrats did that's just as bad. I would say Bob Menendez would be an example of that.
Yeah, well, you mean the fact that he was called out immediately by Democrats, or at least within some reasonable period of time, he was called out, and
How long did he stay in office for?
Yeah, he stayed in office. They didn't have the votes to. I agree, by the way. I think that the Democrats should have gotten rid of him. But do you believe that it's on the same level as the silence and the same kind of uniformity in failing to call out?
I don't agree that it's silent for Mark Robinson. He's been getting people to tell him to step down. He's refusing. Do you agree that he's getting people to tell him to step down?
No, I'm not aware of major conservative or MAGA figures telling him to step down. I'm not aware of that.
Well, I don't know what you mean by MAGA conservatives. I don't know what that means.
Officials. Are there any politicians, number one?
Well, this is a breaking story. Right now, I'm not aware of any, but I have no idea.
I mean, when we say breaking, are we 3 days old now, or how long?
Yeah, that's pretty breaking.
How long does it take them to comment on anything relating to the Bidens, or anything related to Harris, or anything related to the
talking about Trump?
Or anybody? It doesn't have to be just a lawmaker. I think a lawmaker would be good, especially a federal one, although a state one could be good as well. Or also any major mainstream or alternative media figures, right? Like a Sean Hannity, or a Ben Shapiro, or a Tim Pool, or any of these people. Yeah.
Well, I mean, your question is pretty hard to prove because it's been only 3 days. I don't watch every single one of their segments to see if they've ever condemned it. It's hard for me to say, yeah, someone condemned it because it's been only 3 days.
Should it be condemned by Trump?
Yeah, it should be. But let me tell you this. Let me ask you this. My understanding of this issue is this is something he posted on a porn website 10 years ago. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So is it possible that he's just a stupid troll?
No.
It's not possible. You take his word seriously on that porn website.
It is possible in the sense that it could have happened, but it is not reasonable conclusion. That's what I should have said. It's not a reasonable inference.
Then what evidence points to?
I would say, hold on, I'll break from Pisco here. I actually, when I read those comments, it is possible that he was just sexually fantasizing or doing whatever else. That's totally possible.
Okay.
But would
that's different than trolling. Wait. Sorry, I agree with that, but it's different than trolling.
Sure. Well, nobody knows what trolling means anymore because MAGA people have literally destroyed the fucking word.
Say things you don't believe to get incitement out of other people.
Or could have just been sexually fantasizing. Right?
Or that too. Sure.
Yeah. But I would distinguish that from trolling. I agree with that.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think he was trolling. If that's the definition we're going with, there's no shot that somebody would attach their real name to shit like that and troll that way. That would be fucking suicide. Political suicide.
No, come on, you agree with that, Brian?
I don't agree with that. Maybe I don't know the information. 10 years ago, was he in office?
No.
So why would he care that his name is on there 10 years ago?
Well, he must have, I'm guessing he was doing. I mean, I can look it up. Did this guy just become the lieutenant governor out of nowhere? He had no background in politics or professional life at all, and he just one day ran. And was like,
he made a speech about guns, I think, and then he got picked up by MAGA, and then I do believe. I didn't know
he was a MAGA politician. My bad.
Yeah. So, but I think that usually when you're trolling, you don't attach your name to things like that. And when you're doing such, like when you're saying I'm a black Nazi, something so like
he said this on
inflammatory,
an Ebony porn site, by the way. That's the added to it, to that context.
Yeah, with his real name and with his email that he uses.
Do you think a real? All right, maybe I think too highly of people, but I don't think someone.
He went to a porn store 5 times a week.
Yeah, I don't care that he goes to a porn store.
Doesn't that indicate to you that it's probable that these are like actual fantasies as opposed to, I'm just playing a troll on who? Who's he trolling? The porn website guys?
It's trolling other people, but I already gave this that it's possible he fantasizes about this. So right now we're just talking semantics about how it's possible that it's not really anything. It's a nothing burger.
What do you mean it's possible? Yeah, it's possible that he's actually been.
Well, because you're making the claim that he is a Nazi. That's your claim.
I made the claim that he said he's a black Nazi.
No, that's not what you. That's right? No. That's not your implication. That's not what you mean when you say those words.
Well, I think that it's consistent with his beliefs that he's.
So then that is your claim. Then that is your claim.
I think that there is a good chance. And by good chance, I put it.
Okay, so I'm glad I got that out of
20 and 40% chance that he actually is a black Nazi. Dustin, would you agree with that percentage, or would you put it higher or lower? Or what
I would say I don't think there's good reason to believe that. But now that I'm looking at other statements this guy's made, I feel he probably. I don't know if he's like a card carrying Nazi, but yeah, he probably aligns with them on a lot of. I mean, the Nazi Party for better or for worse today is actually a lot more accepting of different races than they used to be.
Right? Yeah, everything's so more inclusive. But what are the comments that gave you that impression that it's now real?
It seems like he's heavily in favor of like blanket bans on abortion, which isn't that strange, but also on gay marriage, I think, which is a pretty extreme position, at least in today's political climate. He makes a lot of the unhinged comments about trans people all wanting to be molesters and calls them demonic, which I think is like pretty extreme.
That's extreme, but it's not Nazi extreme. That has nothing to do with Nazis.
He's questioned the Holocaust.
Actually, I haven't even got to the Holocaust stuff yet. I see him like not believing that basically COVID was real, that it was a globalist conspiracy that was just to attack Donald Trump.
That's crazy. Yeah, sure.
Sure. But I mean, like, yeah, that's why maybe he's not Nazi, but he's going to be like Nazi alignment and all the conspiracies and all that shit. But this is just whatever. I just got like through 2 articles. I don't know. Let me.
That's what I'm saying. Breaking news.
No. These aren't breaking news. This is an article from 2020. Okay, so this is not breaking.
By the way, this is a Facebook post that Robinson posted in 2018. Hitler disarming, all caps, millions of Jews and then marching them off to concentration camps is a bunch of hogwash. Close quote. What do you think about that?
I think he's an idiot.
You think that is that one can make a reasonable inference that he's a Holocaust denier?
What was this on? It was on his Facebook.
His Facebook with his name.
Yeah. I could say that he's at least a Holocaust questioner / denier.
How about this? The center and leftist-leaning Weimar Republic put heavy gun ownership restrictions on German citizens long before the Nazis took power. The foolishness about Hitler disarming millions of Jews and then marching them off to concentration camps is a bunch of hogwash. Repeating that hogwash makes the conservative argument against the current attempts by liberal Marxists to push unconstitutional gun control measures in this nation look foolish. He put scare quotes around the word Jews.
Now that you gave the full context of it, it just sounds like he's an idiot again. He's interpreting that information from today's standards and saying, "Whoa, the left is trying to get rid of our guns. Look what they did before."
Hold on. He says that the popular movie Black Panther was created by an agnostic Jew and put to film by a satanic Marxist and was only created to pull the shekels out of your Schwartzy pockets, which is apparently a Yiddish slur for black people.
Okay.
Do you think it's a reasonable inference that Mark Robinson is a anti-Semite?
Reasonable inference. I would say I question if he is an anti-Semite. Yes, I would say that.
Sorry, I asked the question. Do you think that would be reasonable? Yes, no, I don't know. Or
I gave my answer as it stands.
So no, I'm not. Sorry, I'm going to ask the question again. Do you think that it's a reasonable conclusion? I'll say a reasonable conclusion for someone to see those statements and conclude that Mark Robinson is in fact an anti-Semite. Yes, no, I don't know.
Well, I guess the answer would be that I don't know. Only because while it's enough evidence for me to question, like, hey, this guy might be, I don't see enough evidence for me to say he is.
What would you need to see to think he is anti-Semitic?
More than just stupid posts from 10 years ago. I would need to see something more recent.
Okay, wait. Do you think it was anti-Semitic 10 years ago?
He might be. 10 years ago, I could say that. Yeah, maybe 10 years ago he was anti-Semitic.
So then wait. What would you have needed to have seen? Can you give me an example comment or example comments or an example thing?
For what? 10 years ago or now?
No, for either. For you to think like, oh, this guy might be like a Nazi.
I just said 10 years ago he might be. Oh, I don't know about Nazi, but 10 years ago I would say that 10 years ago he probably was anti-Semitic.
Yeah, but you're saying probably. What would move you to like 90% plus?
Definitely.
Like 90% plus.
A signed affidavit saying I'm an anti-Semite.
No, I don't. Because my thing is I don't know all the statements. Destiny was reading some, which
you were asked what statements would you need to see, not what statements were.
Hold on. What I need to see. I would need to see more of those statements then.
Okay.
I don't know.
Josiah, any thoughts on this? Otherwise, we'll go to.
How many of those statements would you need to see? Exactly.
The only thing I was going to add to this is
how
that,
many. Go ahead.
Wait, can we get an answer to Avi's? Wait, can we? Let's do Avi's first, and then we'll go to Josiah's question. So Avi asked, "How many more, right, of those statements would you need to see?"
Yeah, like is it 5, 10, 15 statements for someone to be a Nazi?
Well, it doesn't. Who cares if he is a Nazi or not? I would say
that's not an answer to the question.
No, it's a perfect.
Wait. I'm curious. Wait. Hold on. Wait. I'm curious. Do you think that Kamala Harris is a Marxist or a communist?
No.
Do you think her father is a Marxist?
I don't know anything about her father.
Okay.
So back to my answer. I think it's perfectly reasonable, given the information that I know, and I guess most people know, is that he is unqualified for office. I think that's a perfectly reasonable statement.
No, we're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't care. Who cares if?
But we're the
he
ones
might be an actual Nazi. To some degree, he might be an actual anti-Semite. Who cares?
We know you don't care.
No.
We know you don't care about anti-Semitism.
No one cares.
Sorry, you think people don't care about anti-Semitism?
No, I don't think people care that everyone has to agree that he's definitely an anti-Semite.
No, I'm asking, do people care whether or not factually he is an anti-Semite? People care about that. I care about that.
No, people care if someone might be an anti-Semite.
Whether it might be, I don't even understand.
But we don't care if they are an anti-Semite.
I didn't say that.
I don't
Who said that? Who said that?
Avi was ridiculing you and saying it's preposterous to think that we care if he maybe is an anti-Semite, but not if he is.
That's the standard. No, because how do you prove someone is an actual anti-Semite based on their posts?
Apparently their statements don't count for anything.
Yeah, apparently we can't look at
my word. God. Okay, try your best to get out of your bubble and listen to me. When someone says some stupid shit about Holocaust, does that mean they are anti-Semite or Nazi?
It can be.
Holocaust.
Okay, it can be. That's my argument. At what level?
But here, it's very clearly.
At what level? Hold on. At what level statements are they definitely?
Okay, hold on. Here, this is a red herring conversation. Here's the issue.
It's not a red herring. This is their conversation.
No. It's a red herring conversation because in life, all right, you don't.
That's my point.
No, in life, you don't gather enough information to make a conclusive, beyond a reasonable doubt statement about any person. But you still make decisions about them, assuming these things.
That was my answer.
Yeah, but what the question is would you assume this person is, not are they 100% definitely? Because
that was their question.
Yeah, but we're obviously speaking in the context of how would you assess this person politically, right? Like if I could show you I could show you a statement of a guy saying I am a neo-Nazi and I support Hitler, and you could say, well, it could have been that somebody put him up to that, or somebody logged into his account, or it could have been that he was having a psychotic break or whatever. These are all possible. I could never say with 100% certainty, but nobody's really operating in that context. We're saying, would it be reasonable for a person to assume that this guy is anti-Semitic, right? And I think that's a fair.
Hold on, what's wrong with my answer?
Well, when you say like he could be, I mean, you kind of have to have, when it comes time to making decisions, you kind of have to come down on a binary on like, are we going to act like he is, or are we going to act like he isn't?
You're appealing to too much ambiguity. As a matter of fact,
I'm not appealing to
tweets right now. Wait, shut up. Listen. So about an hour ago, you said for now, you forgot to mention now that you're a bit more sane. But let's not forget, for the past 10 years, the left was openly racist, sexist, and anti-establishment. You don't get a prize for being the first party to turn crazy and the first to stop being crazy. So about an hour ago, you were perfectly content to tar and feather the entire left as openly racist, sexist, and anti-establishment. No benefit of the doubt there. But with Mark Robinson, you're appealing to, he might not be a Nazi.
That is such a stupid point. I can't believe you even brought that up.
No, it is demonstrating your
I'm giving you, that is a general argument, and this is a specific argument. How stupid can you be to mix those two up?
I love ridiculing your inconsistency. It's great to establish
a general argument versus specific argument is not.
Oh my God. You're going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
No, I'm not. I didn't give him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, he might not be a Nazi. He might not be anti-Semitic.
That's not what I said.
But the left is openly racist, sexist, and anti-establishment.
Well, if you want to go through the policies for the last 10 years, I'm totally
No,
fine
the
with that.
bottom line is
No,
you
of course you don't want to go over it.
content to make
And you're
definitive
perfectly content
declarative
to
statements
twist my
about an
words
entire
from a
movement
general
of people,
argument to a
but
specific
you
one
won't
and pretending
do it
they're the
about
same.
Mark Robinson.
Get out of here, bro.
It's fun to point that out.
Get out of here, bro.
No, I appreciate that, Josiah. Brian, do you have any thoughts? Closing thoughts for now, and then we'll go to Fiery Patriot, who seems to be a patriot and he seems to be on fire, and we want to hear some of that
The last
fire.
thing I have to say is, I'm picking up another argument that the last guy said. The BLM riots. Another thing that might be bad on the Democrat side is Seattle Chaz, how it was handled. That's another.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad that, the thing is,
another thing.
The thing is, I think that you can have some reasonable disagreements, and I don't know if Stephen will agree with me on like the best method for quelling a protest. And you could say that there are good faith disagreements on what's the best, but that's different than accusing, as I think was done, that what the desired outcome was additional anarchy, additional chaos, more lawlessness, that kind of thing, as opposed to trying to let things burn out in a smarter way. For example, that was kind of the argument for why Trump shouldn't use the Insurrection Act, right? And conservatives were making that argument that Trump was correct not to federalize the National Guard, not to invoke the Insurrection Act because he didn't want to inflame things. That was the argument that I think you can understand. And so given that, do you agree or disagree with Donald Trump's decision not to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Whether I agree or disagree.
Do you agree or disagree?
I'm ambiguous to it. I would have been okay
You're
either
ambiguous.
way. Yeah, I would have been okay either way. The issue is I have problems with the governor and the mayor not wanting.
But not the president of the United States who was presiding over these riots and who had the authority to call the National Guard.
Which one is better? Which one's better? The one where the state or the city calls for help from the federal government, or the one where they do it without the states?
The buck stops with the president. Agreed? Yes or no?
No. After my question, I'll answer yours.
What's better?
Yeah.
Wait, what are we comparing? What are we comparing right now?
I'm comparing the Seattle Chaz zone, how it was handled at the state and city level, how they refused to take care of that issue and refused help from Trump.
Refused help from Trump?
Well, he wanted to call the National Guard, but he didn't want to do it.
Wait, no, sorry. He didn't call the National Guard. Do you agree with that decision?
I didn't say that.
Do you agree with that decision? Yes or no? Do you agree with that?
I'm ambiguous with that decision. I don't care.
You're ambiguous. But why are you not ambiguous with respect to the
Because the state and city
local?
should have called for help if they needed help, rather than doing nothing. In fact, they were sued because they did nothing by the residents.
Yeah, but the president didn't have to wait for permission.
Yeah, he doesn't have to wait, but agreed. Isn't it better if they call for help rather than this?
I don't know what you mean. Isn't it better?
Is it more? Is it? You don't know what I mean by it's better.
No. In the context here, like, would I prefer it if they had called Trump for help
to handle the issue rather than doing nothing, where they get sued by their own?
What am I comparing it to? Trump unilaterally without checking in and doing it?
Correct.
Okay. I would prefer that they work in tandem as a team, as opposed to always. But that's not the question I'm asking. I'm asking whether or not does Trump bear any responsibility for the chaos during Black Lives Matter?
No, that's more of a state and local issue. He might have some, because if you wanted him to say, screw state, screw the city, I'm doing it anyway. If you want him to do that, then he would have some responsibility.
I don't even understand. So you guys make the biggest deal out of the Black Lives Matter riots, and I agree, they were big deals.
So
you make them big deals. Wait, you make them big deals because there was a lot of property damage, right? Billions. You guys are saying this is a massive
and
issue.
loss of lives.
How is this not a national issue? Of course it's a national issue, correct?
It can be, yeah.
It was. Yes or no?
Hold on.
Was it yes or no? Was it yes or no? Was it yes or no?
Was it a national? I'm not going to answer.
Was it a national? Was it a national?
I'm not going to answer that until I give you that.
Why aren't you going to answer it?
Because this God's context.
Sorry.
So during the LA riots.
No. We're going to get an answer to this question. We're going to get an answer to this question. Do you believe that the Black Lives Matter riots?
This is a comparable example.
Do you believe the Black Lives Matter riots were a national issue? Yes or no?
It's more of a states, but it was so widespread that it could be construed as national.
Was it yes or no?
I just said it could be construed as one. Yeah.
It could be isn't an answer.
It is.
It could also not be.
It's just an answer you don't know.
In your opinion, was it a national issue?
In my opinion, do you understand that there's in federalism there's responsibility on both sides?
I understand that's not an answer to the question. My question was, do you consider it to be a national issue? Yes, no, or you don't have an answer.
This is a context for my answer.
I don't care about your context. Answer it first.
If something is happening bad in the state, it could be a national issue. Anything could be a national issue.
Was it, in your opinion, was it a national issue? Yes, no, or I don't know, or I don't have an opinion.
I just told you, it's both.
So it was a national issue. Fair?
It could, yeah. As I said, it's construed as a national issue.
Okay, so since it was a national issue, since it was a national issue, why don't you put any blame on Donald Trump for not solving a national issue?
Well, I don't put blame on him because I would say this. If they called for help and he refused, I would put 100% of the blame on him. It would be his fault. And I would say openly it was his fault. But they didn't call for help. They didn't. In fact, they said, no, don't come. They said, I don't want you to come here. So I would put the fault on them, on the state and local level. And the residents sued them for that, and they won on settlement.
So Trump should not have invoked the Insurrection Act, and he should have let the cities, in your words, burn.
Well, no. So you're giving Trump all the responsibility and none of the responsibility to the state and local government.
No, I'm just trying to follow your logic.
No. If you're trying to follow my logic, you'd hear my argument that the local and state responsibility weighs heavier.
Okay, but Trump still has some responsibility, and he let cities burn on his watch.
If you feel that he should have called an insurrection act.
Do you feel?
I just told you I'm ambiguous to it.
Okay, thanks. Fiery Patriot, any thoughts on anything?
Wait, where do you stand on that? My assumption would be that the president has almost no responsibility there, that all the responsibility would be on the governor and the mayors. Unless maybe there was like an exceptional thing where a mayor or a governor was literally, like, I'm abdicating responsibility because I want to watch the people die or something crazy like that. I would assume that all the responsibility is falling on the mayors and the governor there. No?
So my opinion on what actually happened is that Trump should have stayed out of it. I was fine with that. I was fine with how the governors responded generally. I thought that they were trying to do a less inflammatory approach, but that's not their claim, right?
No, hold on, Seattle. I'm talking about Seattle.
Hang on a second. Their claim, again, I agree that the governors should be given latitude to try to address it in the best way. I don't think that we needed federal involvement, except to the extent that there were federal type insurrections, like what was going on at different courthouses, that kind of thing. I think that there should have been a federal response to that. But just to be clear, I don't think that there was that the cities were burning in the sense that they're talking about, where they're all being destroyed, all that stuff, such that we would need to have federal Insurrection Act invocation in those contexts. But what they're saying is that these cities were completely destroyed.
It's not my argument.
Sorry. It is the argument you've heard before, what I'm saying right now, right?
But it's not what we're talking about right now.
Okay, but I just want to be clear about my position, is when conservatives say something to the effect of, or something approaching, hey, you let the cities be destroyed. If that's actually your opinion about what happened in BLM, listen, there was a lot of damage, there was a lot of bad things that happened, but if your opinion is it was so horrible that these cities were destroyed, of course Donald Trump should have stepped in. That seems to be a fair conclusion.
Oh, never mind. Hold on. I half agree. I 100% agree. So what Pisco is saying is actually, yeah, this is 1 trillion% true. If we truly believe, okay, and this is a claim that, okay, you conservative fuckers make, liberals never make... Well, maybe. I don't know. If I check your Twitter, maybe. But liberals in this country never, ever make mistakes. Every bad thing that happens when a liberal does something is because they're intentionally trying to have the country be destroyed, or they're intentionally locking down people to steal their freedoms. I've heard this since Rush Limbaugh. You say this all the time, right?
That's great, but I would like
if it is the case, that's fine. I'm just for everyone else to hear. This might not be what you're saying, but if it is the case that governors or mayors were intentionally allowing cities to burn, then you've actually tripped the argument that I gave earlier that you agreed with, that the president then should actually step in. If it is the case that the governor is saying, no, I want it to burn for political reasons, then maybe the president should step in and do something. So it can't be the case, but both these can't be true.
That the president.
Okay, sure, that might not be yours. I'm just saying that people have said that it was intentional. All of the damage was intentional. Yeah.
Okay, but not me.
Okay. Thank you.
But no, hold on.
You want to elaborate?
I want your rebuttal on my actual argument.
Yeah. What is it?
That Seattle was derelict of duty. In Seattle.
Yeah, so as I understand it, there was a tactical retreat from a particular precinct that was done.
Just the zone.
Yeah, so my understanding was that there was a tactical decision to leave a given police precinct and the immediate surrounding areas, and so as to not inflame tensions further, and so as to not engage, in escalating tensions. There was a decision to negotiate with the people in the Chaz zone as opposed to violently breaking up. I think in retrospect, a lot of people, including myself, I have to read into the decision-making process, have questioned the decision to abandon that precinct. Apparently it didn't come directly from a political leader. I think it came from someone in the chain of command of the police who below that. And so that was a decision that I think was taken on the ground. And I'm not gonna defend that decision. I don't know enough about it.
There's no people making decisions on pulling out of the Chaz zone. I'm not talking about the precinct. I'm talking about the whole zone, which encompasses businesses and residents, in which they sued and got settlement.
Do you agree, yes or no, that it started with an abandonment of a police precinct? Yes or no?
Who cares how it started? I care about how.
Do you agree? Yes or no? Okay, then we're just going to stop it. If you're not going to answer questions, so we can establish
because
what I
again,
just
you're
said.
not
It's clear you're not understanding. It's clear you're not understanding.
You're not giving me a
Yeah.
response.
So what happened? What I described to you.
Who cares how it started?
Okay, I described to you what led to the Chaz zone. You agree that I just described to you? What?
And my argument was about the Chaz zone.
Your argument was about the decision making in the chat with respect to the Chaz zone.
During the Chaz zone, in which
no
one stopped it.
Okay, so you don't have a problem with letting the Chaz zone be established. Fair? You don't have a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with pulling out from the precinct. I have a problem with once the Chaz zone was established, nothing was done to break it up.
Okay, so you're saying that what they should have done is when the Chaz zone was established, immediately go in violently and clear them out. Fair? Yes or no?
Yes.
Answer a fucking question.
I just said yes.
Of course. That's insane. You're going to let people take over 6 square blocks of Seattle? Of course you should. That's your city. You shouldn't let just some hoodlums, like let these people just literally just. They're putting
Trump should have gotten involved, right?
What?
Trump should have gotten involved. Yes.
The city should.
Trump have gotten involved? Yes or no?
I think that the city should have done their job.
Should Trump have gotten involved? I'm asking a question, Brian. Should Trump have gotten involved?
Oh my God, yes. I would have preferred.
I'm asking Brian a question.
Yeah, can I just?
Brian Thanos, not Brian Shush.
Let him finish what he wants to say.
Brian, I know there's 2 Brians. My bad. That's my fault. Brian Thanos, not Brian Shush.
Yeah,
I would have.
No. Don't none. I would have preferred. That's a weak fuck answer.
That's not a weak. That is an answer.
No, it's you avoided the answer. The question is, should he have gotten involved? Not I would have preferred it. Should he have gotten involved?
They both share responsibility. The city, state, and
so the answer is yes, he should have gotten involved. So the answer is yes, he should have gotten involved.
Yeah, I would prefer it if he got involved. Yeah.
Brian Thanos, is your answer yes? Trump made a mistake not sending in federal troops.
I don't care.
You're saying against the will of the
yeah, just say yes. Who cares?
You should have just said fuck you guys and just
yes. Yeah, why not? Fuck you. You should have said fuck you.
Yeah, you just said that they let a city be taken over by hoodlums. So did Trump. Fair?
Well, you have a local police.
Just say yes.
I don't understand why you guys are immune to asking questions. Answering questions. Yes, he should have got involved.
Okay, you could say there's multiple people who had law enforcement access.
Should he have gotten involved? Yes or no? I mean, we can keep doing this.
I'm saying he could have.
I'm not asking if he could have. I know he could have. Should he have?
What do you prefer? How about that? Do you prefer?
How about this? Just for the sake of argument, I'll say yes. But here, let me. I know that's what you want me to say, but here.
No. I want you to say your opinion. Steven wants you. Steven, what do you want? Do you want the opinion or what you want to hear?
I don't like the game. The reason why somebody switches, I did this with Asano, I've done this with so many people. If I were to say, do you think that a 15-year-old should fuck a 1-year-old? You're not going to say, I would prefer that they don't. Would either of you answer that? Hold on. Let me try this. Wait, let me try this. Do you think a 20-year-old should have sex with a 5-year-old?
No.
Okay. Do you think that Donald Trump should have intervened in the Chaz situation?
I prefer yeah.
Okay, so there's no, it's not a real thing. There's not a real thing that's being done here.
Okay, hold on.
Just make one point.
Brian Thanos, answer and then yes. All right. And then you can ask me a question.
Okay, but real quick here. I mean, the entire point of the conversation was just kind of about, I think it's broadly just about ethics, like the ethics of Democrats versus ethics of Republicans. I don't know if you remember this. I'm going to ask this to Destiny and Pisco. This was, right during the height of kind of the BLM riots, where, like I said, where a lot of the mayors and governors were taking a very, laissez-faire approach. And then at one point, I remember there was like this big, segment from Don Lemon where he was talking about, focus groups. They were talking about polling and focus groups. He goes, hey, look, this law and order thing, it's coming up. It's not going away. It's showing up in focus groups. People are really not happy about all of these riots. And then within 24 hours, Joe Biden, who was running for president at the time, he gave a big, law and order speech. All of the governors just did a full 180. And what that tells me is they are willing to abandon all ethics in pursuit of power. It was never really about, we don't actually care about keeping cities safe. It was just about, I'm just going to do whatever I think is politically advantageous. At the time, they felt it was politically advantageous to, ignore all COVID protocols.
Should Trump have gotten involved in the Chaz zone, yes or no? Should Trump have gotten involved in the Chaz zone, yes or no?
You already said yes.
I didn't hear it. Brian Thanos, did you say that Trump should have gotten involved in the Chaz zone, yes or no?
I think everyone should have been involved.
So including Trump.
So, yes.
But he won't say it. He won't answer. Just to be clear, he will never answer because he won't, because Trump has no responsibility. He will never answer
he
that
just
question.
said yes. He said yes
no,
twice.
he didn't. He didn't say yes. He said I would prefer it.
Yeah, let me add nuance. But no, Pisco, you asked.
No, you're not adding nuance. Hold on, you're not adding nuance. You're obfuscating. You will not say Donald Trump should have intervened. You won't say that. You will never.
Do you want a very direct answer? Do you want a very direct answer?
Yes. Yeah. Do you think Donald Trump should have intervened for the Chaz stuff?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you my stance on this.
He won't answer it. He won't answer it.
No, yes, I'm going to answer. I'm gonna give me
Don't listen,
30
just answer.
seconds. Give me 30 seconds uninterrupted.
Don't listen, just
You have a defined answer. I think that the first line of defense.
I can say your answer. You're going to say there are a lot of people that should have been involved, and I think that at some point, if the other people failed to step up and act, then maybe I would have preferred if Donald Trump would have come in and done something about it. I don't care about that. It's bullshit. You won't say directly, yes, Donald Trump should have intervened. You won't say that. I don't need the long bullshit answer. We've already heard it like 50 million times.
That's not a bullshit answer. Do you not agree with that? The first line of defense is the city, and then you have like a state national guard, and if neither one of them get involved, yeah, you could send in federal law enforcement. I agree with exactly.
Yeah, but there was a failure. There was a failure at the bottom two levels. Do you agree that Seattle and Washington failed to respond to Chaz?
I do. Why do you think there was a failure? Destiny, I want to point to this.
No, wait. If you agree that they failed, then why not say Donald Trump should have intervened?
Because of norms. Do you agree that we should just disregard with norms? Do you guys agree that we should disregard with norms?
No, that's a red herring. Nice.
That's not a red herring. It's the whole crux of our argument.
No. The question is, do you agree, yes or no, that Trump should have gotten involved?
Yes, he already said yes.
No, I'm asking Brian Thanos for a yes or no answer. Why can't he give it?
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna give you my answer. My answer is, since the city and the state did not get involved because they thought it was politically advantageous not to, I wish Donald Trump would have stepped up and done
I prefer so many words to not say anything. Did he make a mistake by not doing it?
What's up? Sorry, what was your question?
He made a mistake. He made a big error by not going into Chaz. Fair?
A big error? I mean, yeah. Sure.
Yes. Okay. So if
sure.
and if what you're saying is
hold on.
Wait. If what you're saying, this is my point. You can ask me all the questions you want. If your point is that the Democratic governors, mayors, whatever, didn't intervene for political reasons, the same is true of Trump, right? Trump didn't intervene for political reasons under your own framework.
Yes.
Okay, so then how can that be a distinguishing factor to distinguish Democrat governors and mayors and Trump in this case?
Because the responsibility doesn't rely with Trump.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Right.
What are the norms? What are the norms when invoking the Insurrection Act?
I don't know. How can I answer that in a way that would be satisfied? The norms are you have to write you write something out, you announce it. I don't understand what you're again about.
Let me bring in an example. LA riots.
Yeah.
That was considered an insurrection. Did the state call for help from the federal government?
I'm not sure the chronology on whether or not they asked for help.
Okay. Well, my understanding is yes, that they did it. Well, because that's the norms. The whole point where Bush Senior did not put in troops in the beginning was because he's waiting for help to get help, call for help from the state. He wanted that norm to be set. He didn't want to do it only by himself. So
they could have been killing thousands of people, and
don't put it hypothetical. I want the statement of facts.
But your position is it's unacceptable that this could have happened.
That is the norm. Yes, there's extreme circumstances where the norms could be broken. I'm talking about this.
This wasn't even that big of a deal, right?
No, that is. Oh my god.
Was it a big deal? Was Chaz a huge deal?
Yes, it was a big deal. Okay, was it a big deal to break norms?
It can be, yeah.
It can be, yeah. Okay, so that's an unequivocal answer.
Is Donald Trump shy about breaking norms?
Break norms. Yes or no?
Yeah, why would we be thinking?
Yes or no? Yes or no? Was it big enough to break norms?
In this case,
yes.
I think that it would have been inappropriate for him to invoke the Insurrection Act.
You agree with me? You're arguing for no reason?
No. I am using, it's called a critique. It's called an internal critique of your reasoning. I think that he should not have invoked the Insurrection Act. I don't agree with that. But I also don't think, I'm not bought into your version of this was
So the Chaz Zone was not an insurrection?
Chaz Zone was an insurrection, in my opinion.
Then why would you say that you shouldn't do it?
That's neither
here. Then why did you get
the answer that he shouldn't nor there?
Then why would you get the answer that he shouldn't call for the Insurrection Act? Why shouldn't he do that?
Invoking the Insurrection Act shouldn't happen every time there is a definitional insurrection. Do you agree with that? Do you agree
since it's so broad, yes, it can be, sure.
Okay, so then we have no disagreement, and what you just said is completely stupid.
No, we're
going to move on. No, what's the disagreement exactly? This is the last line, and we have to move on. We can't be stuck in your nonsense this whole time.
Your nonsense. You agree that Chaz is an infraction. You first agreed.
I do, yes.
You first said that the state and local government were wrong in their decisions. They should have asked for help.
No, I actually didn't give an opinion on that because I don't know enough. I don't know enough about the chronology.
Okay, you did say that. Okay.
Yeah, I did say that.
But after you gave an opinion, fucker.
Wait, what opinion did I give about the response of the governors and mayors? Oh, wait. You
said you didn't agree with their. Well, you said
did I ever say I didn't agree with that?
Yes, you said in hindsight what they're.
In hindsight, like I don't know about the precinct. A lot of people criticize
you said, yeah, they're open to criticism.
But I'm not giving an opinion because I don't have enough.
Okay, fine, whatever. Yeah. If you want to sidestep the answer, fine. Go ahead and do that.
That's Brian.
Yeah,
shush.
Sure.
Brian,
sure.
Shush.
How about Destiny? How about you? Would you give an answer to that?
What was the question?
I mean, do you agree that the Chaz zone was an insurrection, and then the state and local government failed in handling that insurrection?
I don't know enough about like looking at local insurrection stuff. If I had to guess based on everything I've seen of it, yeah, I think that should have been violently put down on day fucking one. That would be my position on it. Just based on a little bit I know about it though. So.
Yep. Okay, we're gonna move on. Thank you to. But again, that doesn't. The fact that he says that also undermines Donald Trump, and that's one of the reasons why the BLM component does not land against Kamala Harris in this election is who was presiding over the country at the time this was happening. It was Donald Trump. And so just like you would, if Joe Biden were in charge in the same period, absolutely criticize Joe Biden to the extent that he wasn't acting the way you thought. I think that it's fair if you're going to construe BLM as this massive, society destroying type situation. I think that you're going to have to put some blame on Donald Trump.
Tell me an example where I said that.
Yeah,
you're giving me some.
We're done with your nonsense. We're done with your nonsense.
No, okay, that's what I thought.
We're done with your nonsense, Josiah. If you have any comment, otherwise we're going to fire.
Just as a quick thing, also something that might be comparable to Chaz. Do you remember the other BLM stuff, the Bureau of Land Management stuff? I think it was I thought there was one after the Bundy standoff, but I don't want to say that's fine. You agree with that. I don't want to say with 100% certainty, but weren't conservatives mad? Wasn't a person killed there?
I don't care what conservatives say.
That's great, but we're not just talking about just you. Okay, obviously it's about the whole political landscape.
This is my argument. I came in here to give my argument.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know what your argument was. I'm not talking about what your argument was. I'm not saying what you were arguing about, okay? I'm just saying that in general, my recollection of that was that conservatives were quite mad that a person, I believe, ended up dying there, unless there was another event that happened with the FBI and people trying to take over land later on. It seemed like the response felt a lot differently because those people were fighting against the Bureau of Land Management as opposed to in Chaz, fighting the city or whatever. But.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if we're not making specific arguments against each other, I would give the same generalized argument about the left.
Okay.
Do you agree? Here's a question, just a quick random question. Do you agree that that what the truckers did was essentially an insurrection in Canada?
Given enough time, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Cool beans.
Really fast. Can you allow Destiny? Can you my brother Jay Thanos 24? Can you allow him to speak at some point?
Yeah, we can add him as well at some point. Okay. I want to go to Fiery Future, but first, Josiah.
Yeah, I was just going to say real quick, just as a quick fact check, because Bob Menendez was cited earlier. Just a couple of things to note. Bob Menendez was indicted, prosecuted by President Biden.
How long was he in Congress?
Well, let him finish.
Yeah,
this has nothing to do with my argument.
Let him finish.
Get through the state.
Okay, fine. Okay. Then I'll just bring up DeSantis. Santos was also.
Let him finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
buddy,
they're 1-1.
Brian,
I'm breathing.
You will have a chance. You will have a chance to respond. Just breathe deeply. It's okay.
Okay, I will. Thank you very much.
So he was prosecuted. You're welcome. He was prosecuted by President Biden's Department of Justice, and then in the days after the prosecution, 50%, more than 50% of elected Democrats in the Senate called on him to resign. And then after he was convicted, he announced that he would not seek re-election, and he did resign back in August. So the response to Bob Menendez was considerably more extreme from the Democrats than how Republicans have reacted to Mark Robinson or George Santos, for that matter.
All right, how long did they take to kick out? Unlike Menendez, they kicked out Santos.
Because he wouldn't resign. Because he wouldn't.
Yeah, sure.
Do you understand? Yeah, that's a pretty big.
And how long? What was the timeline on both of those?
Menendez was prosecuted. I think the first indictment dropped in September 22nd of 2023, and then he was convicted. I think Pisco might have to correct me on this one, but it was earlier this year,
Yeah, it's odd how fast things go when it's Democrats being indicted. You get Hunter Biden and all that stuff. Yeah, but I just want to say it is very funny that he, in the span of Trump's legal woes, he was like indicted, convicted. We had the trial ready, and warp speed. Same thing with Hunter Biden, but with Donald Trump. It's it's just interesting that people accuse the bias of the Democrats and the DOJ. Yeah. Okay. Well, Brian, you're annoying me, and I'm gonna.
You're annoying me. You keep saying
other
things I have nothing to. All right.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what his point was about Menendez, but again, the reason, like even the Santos thing, like, well, how long did Menendez stay in, and how long the Republicans kicked Santos out? That's because Santos wouldn't resign because he's morally inferior to even Bob Menendez. Bob Menendez at least had the good grace to fucking resign eventually after his conviction. Santos had to be kicked out of Congress. And there were multiple attempts to kick him out of Congress, but Republicans blocked it every step of the way because they didn't want to lose the votes. Again, so Brian, if you're listening, I hope you are. Accept that my party.
I don't think I can. I don't think you give me permissions to kick. I don't know, but it looks like he's still here.
What are you saying? Sorry, I walked away for a second. I heard you were talking about like George Santos or something, right? Because that was my original point of like a Republican being kicked out for being unethical.
Yeah, we were talking about Santos and Bob Menendez and Mark Robinson.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Cool. Fiery Patriot, what are your thoughts?
Holy shit. Like when you first said my name, the topic was like 5 topics ago. Yeah. So I don't know. What I would say is that my response to this whole Robinson crap would be that it was released, obviously, literally the day before his last chance to drop out of the ballot. And so I would say that that's not enough time. That's not enough time to actually vet the information. That's not enough time to really, I guess that they maybe vetted the information as best they could. But I think this was a coordinated plan to try to kick him off the ballot. Right. And I think that's what originally we were talking about, isn't it?
Should he withdraw?
No.
Why not?
Why would he withdraw? There's not been. So he's been lieutenant governor this entire time. He's all this information has been available about him this entire time. People have looked into it. And then, do you know Mark Halpert? He's a political strategist and a reporter, and he said that this information was released specifically accidentally a day early because they accidentally gave him a day to withdraw. But I think it was released that way specifically to get him to withdraw.
What I'm asking is, are the allegations in themselves enough that you think that he should withdraw or even resign?
Yeah, how is the timing relevant at all?
Well, the timing is absolutely relevant because if you think that you're a Democrat and you think that you actually love say Democratic principles, then you should have released that information as soon as you found it, right?
Yeah, but now that we have it,
anybody loves democratic principles. These guys are trying to win on both sides.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think anybody here would say there's literally a term for this. It's called for the presidential election. We call these the October surprise, right? The idea that you time releases to do maximum political damage. I don't think there's anything anti-democratic about that, though.
Well, no, but I mean it's anti the people, right? You're going to release that.
So all of these elections have been in bad faith for probably 100 years at this point.
What?
Right. So this is obviously bad faith.
Let's examine that for a second. What do you mean the elections have been bad faith for 100 years?
People are not running to better the country. They're running to achieve
better themselves.
All right. I mean, if that's the definition
that's for almost every election, even coming down to state and city.
Okay, you're saying that the incentives are self-motivated for politicians. I don't think that you'd get much disagreement.
Fiery, can I ask you a question just to test your consistency here? See if you're being
potentially, yes.
Yeah. Yep. So are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you support Trump in 2020?
Yes.
Did you think it was unethical for the Trump campaign to drop the October surprise about Hunter Biden's laptop to try to undermine President?
Oh my God! Then what's the issue here?
Wait, so, hang on.
Yeah.
The Trump campaign didn't drop the Hunter Biden laptop.
100% they did. Rudy Giuliani gave that shit to the New York Post.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bro, I've never voted for Trump, and I absolutely, and I'm going to vote for him this time, and I absolutely, of course, they did that on purpose. They're trying to make Biden look bad.
Yeah.
Right. So they did it, but they launched it early enough. It's like they launched it when they had it.
Wait. You do know what's
involved
in October. Wait a minute. Hang on. Just let's be clear about this.
Okay.
And Pisco, you might have to refresh me on the timeline.
Sure.
But Giuliani had a copy of a hard drive with politically damaging information about Hunter Biden for months, right?
I mean,
he could have dropped it. He could have dropped it months before October. Why do you think he chose to drop it in October?
I did not know that. Yeah, I would imagine.
Don't you think it's fair to say that they dropped it?
Okay, yeah, it's fair that we're dumping shit on people as they're running for office. Okay, so that's fine.
Okay.
So
the point is that people did
gotta
these
be
things,
consistent
not
here. If it's okay for Republicans to do it, then even if I grant you the premise that Democrats did it here,
I would agree that it's okay for Democrats to dump this on it, but this wasn't Democrats. This was CNN. Is CNN a Democrat?
That reminds your point even further.
Right.
Yes, they are. Of course they are.
Fiery, the last thing I'll say, real quick, Fiery, is that they also gave Mark Robinson 48 hours to comment before they released the file. That was the other reason that they sat on it. They wanted to give him a chance to actually.
Right, and he did schedule an interview, and he did release his interview with CNN.
Right.
Or not an interview, but a statement to CNN.
Well, they had I can't remember the guy's name, but he did appear like on a Zoom interview with CNN as they released the K file document. But they gave him time to respond, and that's why they said basically listen, we'll hold on to this for a second. We'll give you 48 hours, give you a chance to respond, but this thing is going live in 48 hours. And so he ran out the clock, said at the last moment that he would talk to CNN, but by that time they were already.
I mean, if you want to be perfectly honest, I think it's probably all true, and I think he's struggling to hold his seat now.
So why shouldn't he resign based on the nature of these comments and the disclosures? I mean, doesn't this?
Why shouldn't he resign? Yeah. Because there's nothing really that he said there that wasn't trollish or. I mean, I've existed in the game industry for quite a long time.
But he's the lieutenant governor. With respect, we're not talking about some schmuck on 4chan. We're talking about a guy who's the second.
Yeah, but why can't some schmuck actually run things? Obviously, Donald Trump came out as like a real estate investor and was like, "Yeah, I'm going to be president."
You're making my case for me. I would love for Donald Trump to resign from politics officially. But my question is,
he shouldn't though, because. Normal people aren't fucking saints. They're not
there's no legal moral standard to run for office. You can be a convicted felon and you can be in jail and be the president.
But there are things
that's
that people
how the Constitution's written.
There are things that
normal people aren't saints, and normal people aren't in jail. Normal people have.
There are things that people can do. There are things that people can do that where you would say they should resign. Fair?
What's that?
There are things that people can do where you would say they should resign. Fair?
Well, no, you're probably not going to get me to agree on that because I think that
there's nothing anyone could do that you would say they should resign.
Yeah, I mean, yes, of course, yes. Actually,
yes, of course, there's nothing, or yes, there are some.
No. If you've already achieved office, and then something comes out that you've done something that is, reprehensible, then yeah, I think that yes, there should be. But if you're running for office, the people are going to decide, right? That's the whole point. This is a democracy, right?
So sorry, I asked the question. Is there something
dropping out of a race? You're saying?
No. That resign from office. Is there something that would come out about a particular person who's in office, who holds office, where you would say they should resign from that office? Is there anything that could come out?
Is it morally wrong, or you're saying they committed a terrible crime, or
anything
matters?
Is there anything that could come out where you would say they should resign?
If somebody turns out to be a murderer afterwards, then they should resign.
So there are
rapists, or they've committed a violent crime. But if If they said like ridiculous shit online,
but
I don't think that they should. I think that
there are some things, right, Josh? There are some things that could come out about someone that you would say they should resign.
You're getting super broad here. So, I mean,
is that a yes or no? You said that. I'm just asking your opinion.
Hold on. No, I got you. I got you. I want to give you my opinion. Can I think about it for a second too, so I can
sure.
give you a good answer? Yeah. So
that could come out about someone.
Is there anything that you can say online that would, during a race before you're elected, think that you should drop out?
Yeah, you're asking me a question. I asked you a question.
No. I'm just trying to. Well, I'm asking you. Is that the question you're asking me?
I'm asking you if there's anything that could come out about a particular person who holds office where you would say they should resign. If there's anything.
I would say anti-Semitism, but apparently Democrats are cool with that.
Is there anything that could come out?
As a Jew, I would say that even an anti-Semitism. I mean, like, listen, you're
That's
just
not
saying,
what I'm asking. I'm asking you a specific question. What
I got you.
Can you repeat my question?
I'd say that it would have to be something like that I can't even imagine.
Is the answer yes?
No, I'd have to say the answer is no.
So there's nothing
that they could say online. Nothing.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, is there anything that could come out about somebody where you would say they should resign?
You, if I found out that they were
that they could have said online 2 decades ago. By
absolutely,
the way.
yeah.
So there are some things.
If it comes out, yeah, of course. If it turns out that you've committed some sort of terrible crime.
So now we're getting more granular. Is there anything that someone could say?
Of course it's granular.
Is there anything that someone could say where you would say they should resign?
For me personally, no, I don't. I really don't think so. But I'm probably way too open-minded.
If someone said, for example, I love the regime of Adolf Hitler, I'm going to try to model my administration off of Adolf Hitler.
So at that point, the question would be,
I want to push back on you on this.
How did this person get elected if this is what their thoughts are? Or you're saying that they hit this and then they came out of nowhere and said, I love Adolf Hitler? Even still, you could say I love Adolf Hitler. And I mean,
they shouldn't resign.
As a Jew, like, I'm not going to feel good about it, but am I going to tell you have to resign?
I mean, this is incredible. So you're saying Mark Robinson could take the podium, come out, look at the camera in the eye and say, I love Adolf Hitler, and you say he shouldn't resign.
I don't think he'll get elected.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm saying Mark Robinson could do that. Mark Robinson could come up to the podium and say, I love
anybody
Hitler.
Could do it. Yeah, Kamala could do it.
I know, but I'm giving you a specific situation. He could come to the podium and he would look in the eye and look into the window of your soul and say, I love, and I'm going to try to.
Well, here, wait. To be clear, you're trying. Hold on. Wait. Pisco, you're trying. Hold on. No, this is wasted. This is waste. Hold on, Pisco, you're trying to find some standard where he would advocate for somebody resigning. It sounds like this guy just doesn't believe in resigning ever. That's what it sounds like he's saying.
Well, I want to really push him, though, but you're not letting me push him.
It has to. Like words, I don't think that there's much that you can say. I mean, look, dude, look.
Wait. What would be an example? What would be an example? Assuming somebody's not breaking a law, what would be an example for when you think somebody should resign?
If they said that, like, if they came on stage and said, "I love fucking little kids."
No. Okay, wait, no. When they're not like talking about breaking a crime, or when they're not talking about committing a crime or breaking a law.
If they've had like ridiculous ideas that are stupid. Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think that
they could literally come out and say, "I
resign.
support Nazism," and you would say, "No, they shouldn't resign. That's crazy. Why would they resign over that?"
I wouldn't say it's crazy. I'd say that's crazy for him to say, but I wouldn't go so far as to say he needs to resign immediately.
Okay, I disagree with that.
Other people would. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm probably not as sensitive as that, but I could totally understand why somebody would want them to resign that way. Like that, I understand that wanting to, but for me personally, my view and understanding of American democracy and freedom of speech. But though also I believe that.
Wait. What do you think? Hold on. I'm sorry, real quick. Wait. Because you said
you're going to agree with me. Relax.
No, I don't care. I don't care. Actually, I just want to ask a question. What do you think freedom of speech means?
Well, so that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that I think that politicians should have limited freedom of speech.
Well, okay.
What?
So that's a whole other thing.
What?
Right? I think we should have much more control over the politicians than we do.
So
with their finances as well as what they say.
If Kamala Harris, let's say Kamala Harris is elected, and then she says, "I'm a communist," fooled you, should she resign?
No, maybe there's a way to impeach her from there, but no, I mean,
why would you impeach her?
Well, no, I'm saying maybe there's another way to get somebody out that way legally.
Should she be
but
impeached?
Me asking her to resign, what is that like? I don't understand. What does that mean?
Should she be impeached for saying, "I'm a communist"?
No, there's nothing that you can say to be impeached for. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Yes, she should. No, she shouldn't. Sorry, I heard
because she has dumb ideas does not mean that. I mean, she got elected. If she comes on and fools everybody, if she sends the troops into the cities and like shuts us down and shuts down all public businesses and acts on her stupid ideas.
But a public A public position of being an avowed Marxist, Leninist, communist is not sufficient for either you to call on them to resign or for them to be impeached.
But when you say call on them to resign, you're saying just like me express myself?
Publicly, they should resign because she came out as a full-on Marxist communist.
But that's stupid. Like, would she come out and say that and then resign? Of course not. So, like, what does it matter for me to even have that opinion?
He's not asking about the efficacy. He's not asking about the efficacy.
No, you're asking me if I would call for somebody to. I would never call for people to resign. It's a stupid idea.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He doesn't believe that anybody should ever resign. That's what he's. No,
that's not what I'm saying.
Yes, it is what you're saying. You don't believe anybody. You don't believe anybody should ever resign.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
It's literally what you're saying.
It is what you're saying.
No, you're asking me if I should call for them to resign. That's
no one is asking if you personally should call for somebody. No,
he just asked me 3 times.
But he's trying to get at. Do you think this should be the case? Right, that somebody should resign. That's what he's saying.
When you say them resign, that's on their volition. So do you think that she should decide to resign?
Okay, if somebody murdered somebody, should they turn themselves into the police?
If somebody, of course.
Wait. Why wouldn't you say that's on them to do it? Who would murder someone and then turn themselves into the police?
That's why we have.
No, God, you guys are actually so bad faith. No, you guys, do you realize how hardcore you're obfuscating right now because you're so fucking petrified of answering a single question honestly because you're so politically mind fucked, right? You understand that question is the exact same as the other one. When somebody says, "Should you call for the resignation of a person?" Nobody is asking if you should go on your Twitter account and tweet, "I am calling for the resignation of XYZ," and you know this. I don't even know why I'm explaining this to you because that's how normal human beings talk. That's how normal humans talk.
No, it's not. We're having conversation here, and you're asking specific questions, and I'm trying to give you specific answers.
So I asked in multiple ways. I also asked, should she resign?
Right. Should she resign? Yeah, I guess. But
so should Mark Robinson resign?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we agree.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous because I can't imagine
Mark
that he get
Robinson
elected.
should not resign.
Well, if he, I can't imagine that if he get elected, if his whole platform is all being a hardcore right winger, religious, everything that he is, which I've just learned about this guy yesterday. So I don't know much about him other than the few things that I've read about how he's like hardcore right wing. He loves or he hates transgender, but he's online saying he loves tranny porn. Like, that's absurd. So you would hope that if he's a intellectually honest person, which he's probably not, because there's no politicians that I can see that are
he should resign.
honest anymore. Yeah, he should probably resign. But should I call for him to resign? No. Is he going to resign?
Why wouldn't you call for something that should happen? I don't understand that either. Well, why would you not publicly call for things that you
think it's retarded? Like, you can't call.
I don't think me calling for him to resign would do anything. Maybe if people were close to him, if his family called. What's that?
You don't think public pressure could do something? That's basically how Joe Biden got out of the race, because there was public pressure and people were calling on him to step down.
Was there? I thought it was more political party pressure. I thought, but again, maybe
it was both.
Well, it's all a feedback loop, right? The reason that there was political party pressure was because there was public pressure too.
Fair enough.
And they were threatening to go public.
That's a really good thing. So the most powerful man in the world withdrew from an election. It stands to reason it's at least possible, in theory, for Mark Robinson to drop out if there was a sufficient amount of public backlash.
If that's the premise, but I don't think that's exactly how it went down. It seems like the Democratic political party has a lot of control at the top, and that's one of the reasons why the Republicans are so crazy, because they don't really have any control and they're letting Trump run things, whereas the Democratic Party seems like they have much more control and they can decide who's in, who's out, all things like that.
Well, I don't want to repeat myself, but I just said that the reason that they pressured President Biden to withdraw from the race is because there was so much public backlash about his chances to defeat Donald Trump. That's it. Like, if the public didn't care, why would Nancy Pelosi care?
I guess that's a theory. I mean, we don't know for sure, but it sounds like a good theory.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, I like it because I want to see more people calling on Mark Robinson to resign, because I think that if you avow yourself at a previous point to be a black Nazi, and now the one thing you could say is I've changed my belief, right? Or I was just trolling, or yes, I said that, but whatever. But for him to lie about it, come on.
He's absurd. These guys are not intellectually honest. None of these.
Yeah. So if he had said this is one big joke, and if I actually believed him, which I wouldn't if he said that, then I could understand people be like, no, he shouldn't resign over a joke where I believe him. But no one seems to be doubting he said that, right? Like, I'm not hearing any mainstream conservatives or pundits or commentators say something like, oh, no, we don't actually think he said that. Everyone seems to acknowledge these are things he said, and he's openly and bald-faced lying about it. And that to me is is a step too far. Okay. All right. Well, are there other conservatives in the? Oh, I see some. So I'm going to add. Oh, I see Rob Knorr in the chat. What do you think about this, Stephen?
I vote taking them all.
Go
for it.
To bring in Rob. All right, let's do it.